Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. Let's just get that perfect. Gotta frame this. Gotta make sure it's perfect. It's not perfect. Well, anyways, welcome back, knife nerds, everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker, and hey, we're gonna have a look at a knife that is courtesy of a fellow by the name of Jake. I know they called him Jake the Snake, but to me, he's the big shooter. And the reason I call him the big shooter is because that guy is a big shooter and he has helped me out so much with his YouTube thing. Give me advice, help me out with some product. I ended up purchasing a knife from him that he's reviewed, and I just like the review. I like the knife, and I gotta say thank you so much to Mr. Jake at Canadian Cutting Edge. Don't forget to go and subscribe to that fella just in case you are wanting to. And also, a really quick shout out, congrats to Kyle Duffy, who won the Extremer Ratio Scout 1 that I have not put in the mail yet, but I will put in the mail here. Just been dealing with some medical stuff, but yeah, it's be getting here out to you pretty soon down in Garland, Texas. And yeah, so that's heading down to him. So I guess Mr. Patrick Anderson, the guy who donated the knife, was telling me that his dealer for that was out of Texas. So this is kind of a homecoming for that knife. So got to put a little bit of an edge on it, spiff the edge up for Mr. Kyle, and then it's heading down there. So what we want to talk about here today is a little bit of a budget offering. It is a Kubey knife, and this is the first Kubey knife that I remember kind of holding. This is the Kubey Darkness, which is a little bit of a weird name here. Oh, sorry, I just lost it. The Nova. Oh my goodness, I was just on the page here. Uh-oh, I lost it. Oh, there we go. The Kubey Darkness. And it's, for being such a light knife, I don't know where they get darkness from. Maybe it just sounds mysterious and cool. Hey, have you picked up the Kubey Darkness? Well, fuck, I like it. Yes. It's all about names. Now, I just want to tell you a little story here real quick. I have been accused of, get to the point. Well, what the hell? If you're here watching a knife video, you like the Big Canucker's personality, so, and I'm going to fucking give you a little story. I don't drink alcohol. I quit drinking when I was 22 years old because I ended up waking up with really sore hands, black eye, a condom on my dick, and keys up my ass on the hood of my car. So it was never a good Saturday night. And so I decided to shut her down when I was 22. And so later on in life, I had a real affinity for Shirley Temples. I think they are absolutely a tasty little drink. So I would go to these bars all the time and I'd order a Shirley Temple. And once in a while I get laughed at a little bit. Fucking Shirley Temple, big 6'3", 280-pound guy drinking Shirley Temples. Yes. Now we've all got a little bit of ego in us. So I remember I went to one spot and I asked the lady, said, so instead, let's call it a Shirley Temple. Let's call it a motherfucker. So if I holler, I want a motherfucker, you bring me a Shirley Temple. And so I ended up doing the drink, and so I'd holler a motherfucker. And so I was drinking motherfuckers all night long. And somebody said, hey, what's in that motherfucker? Let's have a little bit of a sip. And I had a sip. Oh, it tastes pretty good. So yeah, but it doesn't have any alcohol in it. And they were like, well, man, we got to throw some rum in there, some dark rum. So that drink went from being a Shirley Temple to a motherfucker with rum. So that's now a new drink on the menu here in Lethbridge. It's called the motherfucker with rum. So, hey, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's head to the tabletop and let's look at this Kubey Darkness. All right, the Kubey Darkness here is a flipper with a D2 blade on it, and I'm just going to get my other comparison knives here that I thought I had, which I do not. Well, let's compare it to another big knife. This is the Spyderco Resilience. As you can see, that they say this Kubey's got kind of a 3.75 inch blade, and it's got a really nice big blade. The handle is a little bit less. And then, of course, here we've got another Spyderco. This is the Spyderco Large Lum. So two real big knives to go beside a fairly sized, fairly large knife, but not hefty. All right, so now this Kubey here has got a overall length of 8.46 inches with a blade length of 3.74, which is just a smidge under 4. Handle length is 4.72 inches, And the handle thickness is 0.55 or 1.4 centimeters. So that's just a little over a half an inch. Fairly comfortable, at all. Now the blade thickness is 3.1 millimeters. So I mean, it's not a crazy thick blade. It is really kind of a nice slicer too as well. Now the blade material here is D2. I know some people were saying that this might have been when it was originally announced it was going to be an AUS 10, and I guess Jake was talking about how that was a little bit of an issue, but I always thought D2 was a great steel, and I mean it's tough and it's sharp and it takes a wicked edge, and and it has a decently it holds a decent edge. So I don't know if AUS 10 is that much better, but who knows? I'm not a total knife nerd. With the blade hardness is 59 to 61, so like I said, it's not up in that middle 60s range where it's going to be brittle, and it's not down in that middle 50s range where it's going to be bendy. So it's it's kind of right in that sweet spot of 59-60. It is a kind of they say it's a tanto point, but I can see how this will really become kind of more of a belly, right? It is kind of just a belly here. There's a very slight bump there. To where they've got kind of this tanto grind to it, but it's not really a full true tanto. I suppose you could almost call it, with this little bit of a false edge here, you could almost call it like a spanto. Like the Hinderer's got that, the Eclipse has got a spanto, and that kind of seems with this is more like a spear point tanto than it is an actual tanto. Now the blade finish is bead blasted, which is nothing wrong with the bead blasted finish. Now the blade grind is flat, but it's not fully flat. I'd say it's more of a kind of a saber grind. It's kind of a really high flat grind, and it does have some facets in it. So you've really got 1, 2, 3, 4 different facets in this edge. And the nice thing here is it's very symmetrical. Sometimes you can get these grinds where they're not completely symmetrical. The swedge could be a little bit different, where this doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be ground really nicely. And this is, I do believe that this is a made in China knife. And, for the price here, now I've got it here at Kubey.com. They have it listed at $69 for this darkness. And I do believe that it is, I think, less than that, kind of a street price. But don't quote me on that. But it's still like, I think it's an awful lot of knife for the money here. Now, let's go here. So now your material here is you've got a G10 with a liner lock, and it's not a super thick liner lock. I mean, this knife here is a nice little flipper with a 3 mil blade that's not crazy thick in itself. It's got G10. It's got kind of a little bit of a thinner liner lock on it. It's ambidextrous with the tip up, left or right carry, and I have to say that this kind of fooled me a little bit. Now, one of the clip screws is here, and there's the other one here. So when I seen this in the bag, I thought, okay, well, there's the clip, and there's one. Where's the other screw? I was thinking to myself, damn it, there's only one screw in there. So, because this knife didn't arrive with this clip on there, and I thought, well, I'll just put the clip on. And I noticed that, hey, there was only one screw in there. And then I looked at the knife, I got to pull that screw out and then put this other single screw in there and then put it on there. So my bad. And it is a deep carry clip, and it is a fairly functional clip. It's got some good retention, and it's almost kind of got that little bit of a wire there to kind of maybe save a little bit of weight. When you could save some weight, why not? Now, the inside, you've got cage ceramic bearings. So this is an extremely smooth knife, and it is really nice and kind of drop shutty. It's just a little bit of jiggle and she's down. And this knife here is definitely not broken in. This knife here has got a little bit of ways to go. This knife has probably got 10,000 flicks in it before she's going to be really broken in. And believe me, 10,000 flicks, I can do that in a weekend. If my wife wasn't there, give me the loudest eye rolls in the world. So the fidget factor on this knife is actually quite good. It's got a really nice jimping on here, and it is kind of a, it's a, I don't know if that's kind of a light switch. I guess you could do it both ways, a push button and a light switch. Yeah, so you know what, it is kind of both ways here, but it seems like the action on it is really nice and really smooth. Let's just see a clip material, of course, of stainless steel. And the item's weight is 3.95 ounces. So it's sub 4 ounces. And you know, it is really quite a nice little knife here. Now, I've got, like I said, I'm double XL hands, and it fits my hands really, really well without, you know, a huge amount of hot spots in it. Now, there is a little bit of a kind of a finger trail here, but it's a little bit of a dangerous finger trail here. You can see that it's got some sharp right up to here. Right? So if you've got some fat fingers like me, if you're not careful, this is just a really, really, I think, a way that you're going to cut yourself if you do that. I think you can choke up on this knife and print your finger to the end of the flipper tab in order to get that. You don't have to worry too much about that, or even go on top here. I don't think you have to really, really look at that. That's more of a sharpening trail than a finger trail, and I wouldn't really use it as a finger trail in this one. Another thing here that I noticed about this knife, and let me grab myself a sharpening stone. As you can see that there is an ever so slight of a recurve to this blade. So I'm not sure if you can see that here. Let's zoom it up. You can see that is not, it's got that little bit of a recurve. So can you see that there? Yeah, you can see it right inside there. So that's just something to be kind of a little bit careful about, a little bit worried about when you are sharpening this knife. If you don't watch out, that little bit of a recurve will grow. If you don't kind of maybe push that down a little bit, just be wary that if you're sharpening this. Most of the times, especially if you're using, say, that's my text going off, so my wife texting me. So if you're using, say, some like crock sticks and stuff like that, you'll notice that will start to grow a little bit. If you're using a Ken Onion work sharp grinding one, you'll notice that that'll kind of go away a little bit, and then it'll be just pointed. You will not get that. You'll get rid of that a little bit, and then it'll recurve back farther if you're not careful. But if I was you, I mean, I would just probably concentrate on getting this belly just a little bit smooth, taking that little bump out of there, grinding that down a little bit, and making this one kind of more of a flat with a belly over a little bit of time. I think you're going to be way happier with that knife than you are going to be with that little bit of a recurve in there. So I don't know if that's a design or if that's just something that when they first sharpen this knife, they were a little bit too much in there. So that's just, hey, I'm not 100% sure. So you do have a oblong hole there that you can, spidey flick it, and you can thumb flick it, and you can, flick it with the flipper tab. And let's just have a look here. Oh, sorry, knocked that over there. Yeah, so that does, you have to be careful, I guess, with this a little bit, getting these across the border. This is a kind of a knife, even though you can shake it here, and the detent kind of is, I'm not going to say weak, because it flips this out tremendously, but you watch out here in Canada with these Canadian border guard guys, you get some guy with a frickin' bee up his ass, and he'll be calling this a gravity knife, and he'll be confiscating your knife. So that's just something to kind of be worried about with this here. Who knows? It's really hit and miss. Like, you'll have 10 go through and then one will get caught. And that's just what we deal with here in Canada. So just thought I would bring that to your attention. Other than that, the ergonomics here are quite nice. It allows you to, I like this jimping here with this ramp. It's a really, really, swell jimping here. It made really, really well. Could probably use a little less jimping on the bottom here. I noticed that it kind of digged into my hand a little bit. But other than that, I think it's just a really, really nice knife for the money. Although you can feel, I mean, when I picked up this knife, I knew that this was not a $250 knife. Like, I knew this was a $50 knife for sure. So when you do buy this, know that when you pick it up and you put it in your hand, that it's going to feel like a $50 knife. That's kind of the one thing that you do. But it's a well-made, it's a very well put together, well thought out, decent material, $50 knife. So, I don't think that if you are looking at, spending, and if you can get this down off the $69 and you can get a discount and you can get this, sub $50, I think you're laughing, and I think this knife will definitely go a long way in your collection as kind of a great little budget offering. So, scale of 1 to 10 for the Big Connector, I'm going to give this knife probably a 6 out of 10. It's going to lose a little bit for me, just being the fact that when you feel it, some knives, some budget knives, when you feel it, you can't tell if it's a sub $50 knife. That's a big hit for me. The other thing too is, I don't know if that's kind of design or craftsmanship, but I don't really like that recurve there too much. That's going to be kind of another little bit of a hit for me. And I also felt that the edges on the inside here were just a smidge sharp too as well. And I would probably take my one of my files and just give it a little bit of a file down, just to make that just a little bit rounder all around the bat. So, thanks so much for stopping by, guys. And I really enjoyed this knife. And I really got to say thank you so much, Mr. Jake from Canadian Cutting Edge. Don't forget to check out his channel for sending this down to me. And I have to say, you guys, please stay safe out there. We're not out of the woods. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.